Hey, we're all back in person.
I missed you guys last week.
Oh, we missed you. I was so jealous.
I know.
I texted Carter and Chad and Kyle and just couldn't stop telling everyone how jealous I was of how good of a time it looked like you guys were having.
It was a great time. We had a good time.
And company. The company was as good as it gets too.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with everybody you got a chance to meet up with. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I also missed Del Taco.
Well, talk to us about this. Taco Bell was a big part of this trip, evidently.
Yeah, it was. And I think it was brought in. I don't know how we diced up last week's show, but it was brought in like at the beginning of the show, late end of the show. I don't know. But that Taco Bell was sitting in front of me, like on this table where I'm recording from in the middle of the Marriott library.
Right.
Just staring me down. And I was hungry by the end of the first night. So Kyle and Carter had gone out and got, God, what did they get me? Like a rice and bean burrito, like the chicken avocado ranch burrito that I think I talked about on Kyle's show that I wanted. Cinetwists, a Pepsi, and like they ended up with like 3 extra burritos. Extra burritos, I'm sure. I think Kyle was kind of waiting to see if we'd judge him for how much he was going to eat before he decided to say nope.
See, and here's how I can tell that they. Here's why Tim and I are your best friends, though. You're never going to impress Chad with a single Cinetwist.
No.
2 minimum.
Well, it's actually a small little bag, right? And
It is a small little bag.
They're little tiny, like
it
curly
threw me
fry
off.
things.
I wasn't ready for him, and the Pepsi like threw me off.
Because you're a Coke guy. Yeah.
I am a Coke guy. Yeah.
And I second that. So.
It was. I don't know if you guys have had Taco Bell lately, but it'll tend to tear you up a little bit.
Yeah.
It will.
It's been about a decade, I think, for me.
You know, I'm kind of surprised. We do have our super secret listener chat that we talk about Taco Bell quite a bit on. And a lot of them are really adverse to Taco Bell. I actually quite enjoy it.
Oh.
I remember enjoying it in the past, but boy, that night, this is funny. So that was the first night. I was planning on having housekeeping come in, kind of spruce up the room. I hung the do not disturb door sign on the front door. It did not leave that front doorknob the entire rest of the time that I was there. We need to take care of some things. Taco Bell is the gift that keeps on giving.
I kind of figured.
And I will tell you, one of my favorite things at Taco Bell is to get the Diablo sauce.
Oh.
The Diablo sauce, which just the tiniest little pin drop will burn your taste buds off.
And the other end.
Yeah, exactly. But speaking of gifts that keep on giving, I got some things for you guys.
Oh.
Wow. Not just chocolates?
All right. First of all, I got a couple extra copies of Basketball Card Fanatic.
Oh, look at that.
Featuring our story of the Kobe Bryant questionable authentic.
Oh, yeah.
So if you haven't picked up this episode or this current issue with Steph Curry on the front, go check it out. We've got the story that we featured on the air about the Kobe Bryant autograph with photos, talking about our experience with it. So that's first of all for you guys.
Well, and this will be most important to me because of the story, but I'll tell you, if you just want to give me one of these every 6 to 8 months, you will keep me a happy boy. I love this magazine. I still have the first one, the Donovan.
Yes.
And I do save them, almost like collections.
Quality's incredible. Photos are great. Adam made me send him like 15 different versions of the photos in there. So he's like, yeah, it's not good enough. But it speaks to the quality.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's a copy of that.
Oh, that is awesome.
We need to get a CGC to grade one of these. I don't even care if they
we should, and that would be the perfect one to do, right?
Yes.
At least for me.
I agree.
All right, some cards from the card show.
Okay.
Ricky, you already know about one of these, and the other one is from Carter. So there are your Nico Mannion patch and mosaic. The mosaic is from Carter.
So the Nico Mannion's an immaculate big patch. And I think Carter first found this. At least I think he sent it to me right before you did. I don't know who found it first. But
yeah,
you guys were very gracious to pick it up for me, making sure you got my attention. And then the other one, a Nico Mannion Mosaic Rookie. This is, I'm going to mess up the version of the Prism, the explosive or reactive. Blue reactive is what it is. Okay. I love it, and I love these mosaic cards that play off the uniform color.
Yeah,
the blue reactive really plays well off the Golden State blue and gold. So, that's amazing. Thank you.
And then last couple of things, I found something for Timmy at the trade night.
You were struggling with this. This was a burden to try and find the perfect.
You cannot gift him. And that's the thing. Like, you can't gift him. It's not possible when it comes to cards, right?
No.
Even for his birthday, we did an experience of taking him out to brunch in the card shop because we did not know what to gift him.
No, we're not messing with that.
No.
So I can't wait to
It's
see.
not
what
even
you
just
got him.
cards.
So
Like, I think.
I already
it
know
was
that
hard.
one of these corners is not perfect.
That's okay.
But this was a trade night, and some
Yeah.
little kid came walking by, and I was like, I have to have this for my
All right.
boy.
I'm excited
It's
to see this.
everything I hate.
Oh,
I see a Topps card background, so
I like that.
It's some prospect I've never heard of.
this has to be Tatis's brother, right, or relative, or
It's gotta
something.
be.
It has to be, right?
It's got to be. Bowman
Elijah,
first.
Yeah, Elijah Tatis, purple, first Bowman
Is that a numbered? The purple?
out of 250. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh,
I mean, this Bowman card design is just really cool, though. They
see,
did a good job this year. So
he loves Bowman, man.
I know he loves Bowman. He loves the White Sox. He loves autographs. He loves these prospects that aren't going to blow up.
I like shiny things, you know. So.
And then, Richard, I could not find you
Thanks,
a Barry
Chad.
Sanders
Yeah.
card,
Oh,
but
that's all right.
we did go to the JFK Museum, which is an interesting place to have a museum where you are shot and killed.
Yeah, it is.
But I know you're a JFK guy, so I got you some goodies from the JFK Museum,
Oh, these are awesome.
including a little quote book and then your little coffee mug there.
This is going right up. One in my home office and two at my work office.
Yes, very good.
Coffee with Kennedy. Oh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Thank
That's a
you.
cool little
Yeah.
cup.
You did. You sent me a photo from the grassy knoll, and I messed up the word grassy knoll, but at least I knew where it was.
I sent you a photo of the X on the freeway, and you
did.
knew it. That's all I sent with no context. I was very
wow.
impressed.
I've been there a couple times, as you've pointed out. Kennedy's a pretty important person in our family. My brother was named after him, and we have been there a couple times with my dad just to see that area specifically. It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's cool. So that's the show for this week. After an hour intro, which I apologize for dragging out.
Hey,
But I thought you guys would enjoy some gifts.
Thank you, Chad. Yeah.
We've given enough 90-minute shows. We can do one 7-minute.
There's an Adam. Oh, it's a 101.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Pack to the Future. I'm your host, Ricky, a.k.a. Mr. eBay. And I am joined by my co-host and partner in crime, Dr. Chad.
Someone call for a doctor?
How you doing, Doc?
I am so thankful I have a proper microphone this week.
And he has saved me with my work, ladies and gentlemen. He found my ID badge. Please welcome Dr. Tim.
Here we go, baby. Prepare to be underwhelmed.
Well, on this week's show, we're going to talk about trying to PC a player who leaves your favorite team and how you do it. But before we dive into that, we're going to start talking a little bit more. I got to hear more about Dallas. We got to hear about the hijinks that went on. I got to hear about some more of these deals and these cards you may have picked up, Chad. And then we're going to talk a little bit about ongoing trading and trading cards. So
We have some good trade night shenanigans. So well, not only will we talk about what happened in Dallas, but also give some pointers on what to do or what not to do in my scenario when you go about making a trade.
Hey, those are lessons too.
Yeah, they are. So let's talk a little bit. This is going to be me trying to coax you guys and all of our listeners to come out to the next time we go to Dallas.
okay.
I had a great time with Carter and Kyle. Absolute great time. I would love it for you guys to join that posse going forward.
So we kind of feel like we know some of our listeners just from interactions and stuff, and I'm sure it was probably pretty painless to hang out with them
Oh,
after
yeah.
that, right?
It's second nature within like the first hour because
Yeah.
you're all walking around looking at the same stuff and doing the same thing. You want the
That's
same
cool.
things for each other.
Yeah.
So a little bit about logistics of Dallas.
Yeah.
Flew into Dallas, Fort Worth.
Okay.
We have about a 35-minute lift ride over to the convention center.
Okay.
So not bad. Kyle and I were
Yeah.
supposed to share a lift.
Oh,
Our flights were going to get in at the same time. He chose to take an airline that's like 30% of the time will show up for their flights.
oh,
So I think he got in like 3 hours late.
gotcha. That happens. Yeah.
So I had a solo ride, but wasn't too bad. Where is this place? Marriott Allen Convention Center.
Yeah, it's about 30 minutes northwest of Dallas.
It's either, I think it's north.
Or is it south? Yeah, it's
It's
somewhere.
one of the directions, and then like go in between two other cardinal directions, and that's where it is.
It's one of those.
But here's the key thing about it: there is a Marriott connected to it,
Yeah, it's huge.
and that part is awesome.
You know what that reminds me of? And tell me if it's if it felt similar. When we used to go to the Pac-12 basketball tournament at the MGM, you
Yes.
stay and you can go from your room to the arena?
That's how amazing it is.
Okay.
But the front door of the convention center is 100 feet at the most from the Marriott library. And the elevator bank is just right there. So from the time if
Marriott
you wanted
Hotel.
to leave
Hotel, yeah.
Marriott Hotel.
Marriott Libraries are downtown hotel.
You said that last time.
Downtown
And I picked up on
library.
that.
Yeah.
God, how many hours do you think you've spent at the Marriott library?
way more than I'd ever care to admit.
Oh, thousands.
yeah,
It has to be thousands.
It's such a cool library, though.
We've spent days of our life there.
Oh,
You've
easily.
spent months or
Easily.
years. The only reason I didn't spend more is because I took off to another school. But you.
It's like pieces of our soul are there. It's like if we were to create a Horcrux, part of it would be at the Marriott
Yes,
library.
yeah, you're exactly right. I'll tell you why. I returned to that library every day to pass the bar.
Oh,
I did.
Did you?
Part of my soul is stuck at that library.
part of your butt stuck to one of the chairs.
Probably, but certainly my soul, because I will never take a bar examination as long as I live.
No, I don't blame you. Yeah.
So Marriott Hotel, about 100 feet from the convention center front door, and it's all connected indoors, so you don't have to walk outside in that Dallas heat. And it was hot out there.
Yes.
Humid, too.
Humid.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't function well in this. But it allowed for a midday rest. Now, Ricky, this is a big thing for you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm big on it.
Being able to walk back and like just throw your feet up, even just use your own restroom in that Taco Bell laden disaster
Yes.
is glorious.
To sweat in peace.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So that was really nice. The air conditioning inside that convention center was glorious.
Yeah.
I talked about last year just sweating in
Yeah.
Chicago.
Right.
Completely the opposite. Felt comfortable. Didn't kick me out of the expo center at all.
Nice and breezy, huh?
Oh, it was great. I talked about no food being there on last week's show.
Yeah.
That was just because we had recorded on Thursday. By the time Friday rolled around, they actually had a food truck right outside the front, and they had a little bar cart that had coffee, soda, cocktails, corn dogs, nachos.
What?
Yeah, just right outside the main entrance.
What about that little like restaurant type area, like right outside the
Yeah.
show hall that was open this time?
Yep, it was
Nice,
open. It
yeah.
was there. I actually ate lunch there that afternoon, had a little cocktail. So it's like a bar and grill.
That's
Could
cool.
you take cocktails into the show with you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
So that was completely shut down.
I want to take
Right.
I want to go back or go with you when you go again and take a corn dog into the show.
Oh, yeah.
That just sounds glorious.
Just brings out the inner kid in you left and right.
I'll tease this a little bit right now. You got to be careful where you get grease.
Oh.
People will judge you. And I was judged,
including 9-year-old kids.
including 9-year-old kids. So they have the bar and grill. They also have like a little snack stand where you get water and drinks and all that stuff for your late night pleasure. So
Okay.
the whole setup of it, I loved it. They also had a pool that looked fantastic. They had cornhole outside.
Nice.
Had we been there as like a group, we definitely would have hung out there.
That's cool. Yeah.
We have got to try and push for as many listeners as possible to meet us at one of these shows.
Yeah. Dallas happens every couple of months now,
Wouldn't it
right?
be
Yeah,
great
it
to roll
does.
up with like 12 deep?
Oh, be so much fun.
I'll purposely like bring the gimbal for my phone just to make us look important.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Now, let's see, do I have anything else to tell you guys? Oh, food down there. So it is Dallas. Friday night we did go to a barbecue place. Carter drove down there, and so we cruised over to a barbecue place. Then like 10 minutes, I can't remember the name of it. I'm sure they're everywhere down there. It was delicious.
Nice.
Absolutely delicious Texas barbecue. And then here's the big one, Timmy. Saturday morning.
Huh? Did you do it?
Oh, we brunched, baby.
There you go. There's hope for you yet.
Oh, we brunched hard. There was this place. Oh, what is it called? Frog Coffee Bar and Creperia. Creperia.
Yeah. Oh, Hugo, just chill out.
I know. Can't chill out if you're having an aneurysm and die, Tim. And that's what Hugo just did. But so they had like a little patio out there that was covered. Someone had brought their dog back there. And I think it was Carter. He's like, what is going on here? Like, you can bring a dog? And I'm like, oh, let me tell you about Salt Lake. The one thing Salt Lake does is brunch.
Uh-huh.
And everybody brings their dog.
Yeah.
They bring your stroller. You bring everyone and anyone that's out there. So brunch Saturday was amazing.
Cool.
So we did brunch, and then we went to the JFK Museum, and then we went to the card show.
That's impressive. You squeeze that all in, you know?
That encompasses all three of us.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's true.
It's Timmy Brunch. It's JFK Museum.
And
it's Dallas Card
And
Show.
I've got an announcement to make. If we're not doing a live show, I'm all in on brunch. Let's brunch, Tim.
Yes.
I don't even know who you two are right now.
So the layout and setup of this show is super fun. The show itself, 600 tables. There was every bit of 600 tables.
Yeah.
Main expo hall that I mentioned was not completely full on Thursday night. By the time Friday at noon rolled around, every table was full.
Yeah.
They had 2 of those small breakout rooms right in front.
Yep.
Both of those were completely full.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then there was another mini conference center. Conference center, is that what we want to call it?
Yeah, conference hall.
Conference hall.
Yeah.
Out just outside by the bar. And it's still large, and that
Yeah.
was completely full as well.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Every
kinda
bit of
big.
600 tables.
Yeah. Nice.
I like the idea of kind of mixing it up too, and like splitting it up so that not everyone's together in one specific place. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
It made it nice. So the layout was great. The show itself, Tim, you had asked me, I think both of you guys had asked me what types of cards I was seeing there.
Yeah.
And then, Tim, you've got this list here of PSA's most submitted cards
Yeah.
over the past month or so.
This blew me. I know this isn't total hobby talk about this Dallas show, but this blew me away.
Yeah, it
The
is
list?
pretty. The
Yeah.
list is
Yeah.
incredible. Let me see if there's any general takeaways, and then let's jump into that. I think pricing wise for cards on the floor were fairly reasonable for what I was looking at and going after. Saw a lot of football, saw a lot of wrestling, even saw some F1. I did not see some of the big name guys, which we'll talk about here in just a second. Lots of people buying cards.
You were saying that like everyone
Yeah.
you went up to said, "Do you have cards to buy?" Actively were harassing you to buy your
It
cards.
threw me off. At least tables here, you don't walk up to a table and be like, "Hey, are you selling your cards?" And I'm like, "What?"
That's an interesting flip in the market, I think. I mean, I think they know that everything's kind of suppressed and down right now. So, I mean, you'd be kind of foolish not to try to buy things that might do well in the future.
True.
So, yeah.
All right, so I think that's about a general layout. Is there anything else you guys would want to know about Dallas? We talked logistics, we talked food, we talked location.
Yeah. No,
Layout.
that covers it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I have any other questions specific to the show logistically.
Did you know where all the bathrooms were after the Taco Bell?
I did. And, they have a good bathroom layout, too.
Oh, see?
It's nice, and the bathrooms there are clean.
Nice.
Oh, here's the question I've been dying to ask.
Oh, sure.
How did Carter and Kyle treat you compared to Tim at a card show?
What was that supposed to mean?
You know what that means. Did they stay with you at all?
This is a tricky question. This is a tricky question.
Just pretend I'm not here. Yeah.
Kyle enjoys when he tries to get involved with a trade.
Right.
You're going to have to kick his ass right out of the conference hall before you're closing it down for the night if he's involved in a negotiation. He ain't moving.
Oh, wow.
Hey, I could
He's going to stay there and negotiate.
picture that.
Carter is a really good person to go to a card show with. And Kyle's the same way, except Kyle just gets bogged down in these trades.
Yeah.
Now, very similar to you and Tim with you with shows here, you will mingle to a case, talk about a card, look one over, but he fully embraces the Pack to the Future orbit.
Orbit. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what we named it, huh?
And so we would generally stay within a few tables of each other, but not like at a weird spot where I'm trying to keep him on a leash.
Okay.
I did try to check myself from doing that.
And it worked well, though? Sounds
did
like
work
it?
well. Yeah.
So
it worked out well.
I'm telling you, man, the PTTF orbit, it's science.
Yeah. It is now.
Okay, but can we talk a little bit about these PSA most graded or submitted cards?
I think
lately?
it's a perfect time to do that.
Number 1, Pokemon.
I know. I was like, what the crap? Like, did I click on the right link?
Yeah. And then baseball 2, football 3, and basketball 4.
The timing of this, so this was most submitted cards for June.
Good point.
And I think the timing is everything, but I cannot explain Pokemon.
It's so weird to me.
Something about it took off. I'm sure somebody out there understands. But
And I don't trust the baseball going up above football or basketball. It has never had the staying power that those two have had.
When did Bowman come out? Month and a half ago?
Yeah.
That could account for some of that spike.
Yeah,
right. People
true.
get the cards,
March,
then they send them in.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
true. Yeah, I mean, and they send in multiples, like stacks of prospects that they believe in.
Wrestling 10. Boy, that's a drop off. And then you got your emerging sports at 7. Soccer ahead of hockey.
Soccer's interesting. It's something you got to keep an eye on. Tim mentioned this before he picked the murderer rapist to send in. But World Cup's coming up.
It is.
And if you truly want to be able to make some money off these cards, now's the time to grade them. Ricky reaches into the garbage can and literally pulls out a player that I will not name.
No.
Yeah, that's what I did last week. I just don't have a shredder.
Ricky does. I think he still has Reggie Miller fragments in his.
Oh, yeah. I'm taking it home to properly.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, please do.
So did you see a ton of Pokemon at the show or anything?
I did
like
see
that?
tables that were entirely dedicated to Pokemon.
Yeah,
you know
I
how
bet you
sometimes they would have like a display case?
Right.
There were multiple tables side by side that was just Pokemon. They seemed to be in the back of the show from what I remember, but there were a lot of them in comparison to what I've seen before.
That's just crazy to me.
I couldn't tell you much else about them, but I know that there was a lot.
Well.
And it did stand out to me even before seeing this list. I was like, oh, like Pokemon's a thing here in Dallas.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, that is wild.
Everything's bigger in Dallas, including the Pokemon.
Yeah. Okay, well, I want to get to these the trade night that you hit up as well as some of your other hits.
Couple more things about the most submitted players.
Please,
So if
slow me down.
if you slid through those ones that Tim had,
Yeah,
they listed them by sport. And I think
Yes.
a couple of these were important.
please.
Yeah,
Burrow, Herbert, and Tom Brady. Saw a lot of those at the Dallas show.
that makes sense.
A lot of Herbert.
Yeah, no,
Shiny Herbert.
that hasn't changed then because like people are just banking on him being like
Everyone that sees him play says he's one of the most talented quarterbacks they've ever seen.
It's hard to argue.
There's no reason that team shouldn't be really good. Their defense was
Yeah.
a problem last year, but
Right.
he was not.
No.
If
No.
you recall, I mean,
Yeah.
leading up towards as they were making their playoff push, he was really good.
Yeah,
So it would not surprise me at all now that they've shored up that defense, at least on paper a little bit, that he would be a big one. The most submitted basketball. I
Yeah.
do not remember seeing a lot of Jordan down there.
Oh, yeah.
Anthony Edwards was also on that list.
yeah.
I don't remember seeing much Anthony Edwards.
Interesting.
A lot of Hall of Famers stood out in my mind. So guys that played in the 90s Hall of Famers. So Malone, I saw a lot of Malone, a lot of Stockton, a lot of David Robinson,
Really?
even some older guys, Bill Russell, Kareem, Magic, Bird. A lot of those guys, but I don't remember seeing a lot of Jordan.
Yeah.
Which shocks me because remember, you couldn't get away from Jordan in Vegas, I feel.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Maybe it's just because his card values are down too. You know,
Maybe.
nobody's unloading him or something.
Yeah, everyone kind of went through that trend.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I think F1 and wrestling
Yeah.
stood out. I did see some tables dedicated to F1.
Yeah. Like Topps Dynasty was probably everywhere, right?
Trade night. I almost picked up. Oh, who's the manager? One of the managers who's like a villain. The guy who would be a perfect Bond
Yes.
villain of Red Bull, I think.
Yes.
I can't think of his name. But what a kid came up to me with a gold auto of his, and if I wasn't out of funds, I would have bought it.
Oh.
But
What's it going to be? Christian Horner?
yes, it was Horner. I was going to say Horner hit.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was
'cause
Horner.
He's on the checklist for Topps Dynasty too.
Yeah.
Okay.
But did see a lot of F1 and wrestling. You know, I talked about that Undertaker
Yeah.
card, but I did see
Yeah.
a lot of wrestling there as well.
So
So those stood out to me in
Yeah.
particular about the Dallas show.
That makes sense then.
no, man, I'm so jealous I missed this. Like, it sounds like the variety of cards were so much different. Like I said, when we went to Vegas, it was like 10 players, and every table with those 10 players. It sounds like you got way more variety at this show.
Yeah.
Not as much high end stuff. If you guys recall, we got back from Vegas and like, gosh, like it's a really cool museum
Right.
to go
Yeah.
look at, but it was out of our league.
It's almost,
Price-wise.
and it is fun to go see those cards. But if I go to a card show, I want to buy something,
Yeah.
and so I like that with Dallas as well.
Yeah.
Compared
Compared to Chicago, do you feel like the same amount of variety was there? I mean, just in smaller quantity.
I still feel when I initially walked into the National last year in Chicago, and it could have just been because it was my first one, I still feel that show was so much more massive than what the Dallas show was.
I could see that.
Like initial gut reaction, I walked in and I was like, oh, okay, this is big. Yeah. For the National, you walk in, you're like,
Holy F. Yeah. Yep.
yeah, no, and you wouldn't want it any other way, right? Like,
Yeah.
Right.
if you're gonna go
For the
to the
National.
National, you want it to be a big home run event.
Yeah.
All right, are we good to move on to the trades?
I think we are good.
Okay, Before we do that, though, Timmy, you have a terribly exciting announcement for us.
Absolutely. And I will manage to make it not sound underwhelming because it's a big deal for us.
It is a big deal.
Prepare to be whelmed, people.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we've got Mr. eBay here to my right, too, and he's just as excited about this because the next time you're browsing through eBay and trying not to shill up your friends' bids, head over to pttfpodcast.com, find the eBay partner link underneath our sponsors list now. It costs you...
Took me a minute. I was flipping through some cards here. I'm not really that slow.
Yeah, you guys pulled a me on that one.
Dude, I am so excited. When you announced this just earlier today, Chad and I freaked out.
Yep.
We've been working on this for a
Yeah.
long time. Chad, you've been at this for months.
I've been working months and I couldn't get, there were some logistical things that finally I texted Tim and I was like, Tim, I cannot figure this out. I need you to help me.
Yeah, and I have a hard time doing things on the days that I work, which is a lot of them, right? And finally had some time today and messed around with it, and it worked.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
And it costs you guys nothing to click over to our website. So if you could just remember the next time you're browsing through eBay wanting to click purchase, just, remember that your favorite podcast hosts have a new link to click. And you might help support our show.
I'll tell you what, I'll take it a step further. Think of the day right now in your mind that you are most likely to buy something on eBay. Just think of it. Okay. Everyone take a moment.
Tuesday at 3 p.m.
Tuesday morning, I want you to wake up and the first thing you do is go click on our affiliate link. For the next 24 hours, any purchase you make on eBay, come back and support the show.
Done.
Exactly.
That is a key component to this. You do not need to click and buy right then and there. Just do it within 24 hours.
Yep.
So, great job, Timmy, and great
Tim.
work getting that all set up. All right, guys. Well, you can be sure to check us out and those links as well as our other amazing sponsors at our website, pttfpodcast.com.
Correct.
It is more difficult to do that, when you're the one saying it. I was on Kyle's show, sounding like I was underwater because I use these stupid little earbuds. And he's like, hey, give a shout out. And all I'm thinking to myself is, don't say, what's the thing I kept saying with Dr. Beckett? Interact.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Don't say interact and don't screw up our website.
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
But pttfpodcast.com, you can leave us voicemails, hear all our shows in one place, as well as see any videos we post. So go check it out. Bookmark the link and use it whenever you're making those eBay purchases.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Chad, in addition to the Dallas show itself, you participated in a couple, I believe, trade nights.
Yes.
And may have gotten some other really cool hits that I can't wait to hear about.
Yeah, we got some good stories associated with him, too. So Tim had a good outline here. And Tim, tell me your thoughts on this.
Sure.
Why don't we talk about trade best practices for the three of us?
Yeah.
And then I can share some good stories.
Yeah, I think that works great.
That works.
Yeah.
Sure.
And, if as we're talking through that, you have a perfect segue or a story that kind of highlights that, by all means.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, trade etiquette. I was just thinking through while you were saying that you were going to go through trade nights, and I was like, I personally have not had great successes pulling off trades, and the trade night at the other shows that I've been to, I knew they existed. They seemed really fun. There was a lot of buzz and energy, and I was like, there's just no way I'd be able to pull off a trade, and so I don't do well at them. So approaching them, Ricky, do you have better suggestions for our audience out there?
For me, I think Chad and I we've highlighted a trade that didn't end up going through, but historically we've made a few of them before.
I think so.
And they typically where Chad and I make trades are, I'll get a really good hit and I'll give it to him and say for a card to be later, and we'll kind of go back and forth that way.
Don't do that at a show with someone you don't know.
Oh,
no,
tip number one.
Yeah, yes, exactly. But what I would say is, be sure you want to trade the card, because if you don't really want to trade the card, you're never going to really let it go, and it's going to get contentious, and it just isn't going to work. So make sure it's a card you really don't care about leaving would be my biggest piece of advice. And then be careful not to trade away all your Michael Jordans for Jeff Malones, as I did as a kid with my cousin. But no, for me, it's I don't even bring out the cards that I'm not willing to let go, because what are we talking about otherwise?
Yeah.
Right. That makes sense. And, that's actually a great piece of advice, Ricky, right? Set aside or put some thought into it beforehand, what cards you want to trade and are willing to trade.
Right.
And that, just simplifies things down a little bit, because, I think part of the reason why trades are so intimidating is like I'd see these Zion cases full of cards out there and slabs, and you'd have to rifle through like 300 of them and then try to figure out like, you know, is this player worth one of these cards, or like how many of my cards do I have to give up for this card, and is the person that's trading even going to be interested in all my Luis Roberts? I don't know. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Second piece of advice: trade lower end cards. People are more open to letting them go and trading back and forth.
Think so?
I get that it's not the same rush as trading a bunch of slabs, but I also think that people are going to be more willing to make those trades.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I can see it.
But don't you run the risk of doing like a 4 quarters for dollar bill type trade and then like pissing off the person you're?
Well, it depends what matters to you.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I talked about Kyle spending time on his trades, and there was, I think he spent an hour with a guy. Over
Okay. I could
but
see
you know,
that.
at the end of it, I was there at the very end. Both the guys shook hands and they're like, you know what? Like, we were arguing over $5, and they're like, but for us, it's worth it, right?
Yes.
It's the haggle, it's the negotiation. That's the part of the hobby they enjoy. And so some people enjoy.
How would you like to be in that tractor beam for an hour with Kyle?
They were intense, man. I would keep coming back by. It looked cool. Like,
yeah.
I just don't have the patience to do that.
I think Kyle would break us down.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I set up at a trade night with him. I ended up buying one of his cards. Well, seriously, look at this. I have an Upper Deck Iconic Cuts Vincent Price. Not on my pyramid. Not on my tiers.
What?
I ended up buying it from him. Well, Vincent Price was like a horror movie type guy. I think he was on Twilight Zone and Thriller.
Got a little check cut out of there, huh?
I was wondering about that one.
Oh, yeah.
I've never known you to be the biggest Vincent Price fan, but
Wow.
But that makes sense. And I did exactly what you just pointed out. I Wikipedia'd him to see his filmography, and it made all the sense in the world.
Well, interestingly, you know, I was showing my dad some of my cut autographs a couple weeks ago, and he even mentioned, like, do you have Vincent Price? And then Sarah, she said her name on the show. She was like, oh, yeah, like, that seems like someone you like. I'm like, I don't even know who you guys are talking about. And then I pulled him up. I'm like, oh.
I love this guy.
I would be interested in this, but anyway, yeah, you're right. He will totally destroy you in a trade. I traded him all of my cash, and I got back this card.
Well, that's part of the hobby, and that's part of the experience for certain types of people, right? The negotiation.
And that was a ton
haggle.
of fun. And like, I'll never forget where I got that card. I joke about it, but that was a blast for me. So a couple of tips that I have. Ricky, number one, don't bring what you don't want to trade. I brought my Jerry Judy Immaculate Nike Swoosh 101 Auto. And the guy was looking through it, and I saw him grab it. I'm like, oh, no. Like, I actually don't want to sell or trade this, and immediately had regret of even having it in the case. So know what you want to trade, know what you don't want to. Know the value of your cards.
Yeah.
Great point.
So what I did before trade night is I looked up on Card Ladder, wrote down the last couple of comps for each of the cards I was planning on trading. And I just wrote it down on a little piece of paper that I stuck inside my Zion case.
Okay.
Promo code PACK, 10% off. Ding. We should have like a little tape.
We should. I
And
need to
so
be quicker on the
it
board.
made it nice so that when people came by and they said, what do you want for this? You're not fumbling over your phone trying to pull it up.
Great idea.
Know if you want to sell. Do you want to sell your cards or do you want to trade them?
Yeah.
That's a big distinction.
For reference, at Dallas, people were paying about 70% of comps.
Okay.
They would give you cash, which is great, but it's only about 70%.
How did the trades go? 100% value?
Pretty close.
Pretty close.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll see. There's a
Unless I'm involved. It's not good for me. Think about what you want to accomplish. Do you want to try and trade multiple small cards for a bigger card, or do you want to go the other way around? And I think trying to think about that ahead of time so that people don't pressure you into doing something you don't want to do, you can fall back on that.
Okay.
Or maybe have a mix of both options.
Yes, that would be even best. So those were kind of my tips. Let's transition this into Dallas, though.
Please.
So 2 types of trade nights with Dallas.
Yeah.
First one is just out in that main lobby. Did you mentioned kind of participated, but not really your jam?
Yeah, no, so there's that like bar that's off the lobby, right?
Yes.
And, they just took over that entire bar, like all those little stand-up tables that you can like obviously stand at. They just lay out cars all over that, and like it was like standing room only in there. It was pretty intense.
Very open area where you could just walk in. It's not like it was a private bar.
No, yeah.
It wasn't
very
the
inviting.
titter that he was at.
No, that wasn't the back room. Yeah.
So the very first night, right after we recorded, I got a story for you guys. So we're sitting there like on this little couch with a couple of stools next to us, just sitting stools and a table. And this little kid comes over. He's probably like my height, but he's like 9 years old. little blonde hair. He looks like a mini-me, to be honest.
Looks like you. He
He
looks
looks
like
like
you
me.
have a kid.
He looks
out
like,
there.
yes, exactly. It's like my
really
son.
did.
I took
Yeah.
my son to the card show.
Yes.
And he starts to pull away the stool. Now, I think Carter had like just walked away, I think is how this played out. Maybe that part's not right. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So he starts to pull it out. And he's like, can I take this? We're like, sure. But he's kind of lingering around. And I could tell that maybe he wanted to check out our cards, which I could just kind of had sitting out on the table. I'm like, oh, I could see he had a box, like a little shoebox of cards.
Okay.
And I said, hey, do you have some cards in there? Yeah. And this kid pauses.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, do you want to look for a trade? And he's like, well, and then he doesn't look at me. He looks at the table full of Taco Bell right next to my cards.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, is that your food?
Very judgy tone of voice, I'm assuming.
And he says to me, are your hands greasy? This kid's 9 at the most.
This is your child.
And he's just staring at me. And he's like, and I'm like, I'm laughing at this point. Like, I've broken. I'm like, this little kid's judging me. You don't know who I am, kid.
And this kid wasn't messing around. What did this kid's shirt say?
Oh, gosh. I forget.
I sell
had a picture.
slab
Yeah.
cards or baseball cards
Yeah.
for a living.
Oh, gosh. And I'm like, okay, like maybe they're greasy. And then he looks at the napkin. He's like, can you wipe your hands off first before you look at my cards? And I'm like, get out of here. This
And
kid.
your brow sweat so you don't get it all over my cards. You know?
But at this point, like the kid is so witty. He has me sold. I know I'm just going to give him something, right, to make a trade. So I've got some slabs, and he's going through, looking through some things, and he's like, will you trade this? And I've got like a $50 or $100 card. He's like, I can offer you this. And he opens up his shoebox, and he has some singles, like base singles, non-numbered, non-parallel. He's like, this card's worth 20, and this card's worth 30. He's like, this will get me to 50. And I'm like, 50 cents, brother.
Ouch.
But finally, he pulls out a Lamar Jackson Select Phenomenon Silver. You know, it's kind of into those phenomenon. Still am with Donovan Mitchell. It's a PSA 9.
Oh.
So I think the value of that card, I have it written down here somewhere. I think it's like 10 or 15 bucks.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll trade it to you. And he's flipping through some of his cards, and I pull out these two.
Ooh.
And we end up making the trade. So let me show him. And mostly this is me like wanting to give back to a kid.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
To be nice and thinking, oh, this kid will love this Lamar Jackson. So the two cards I got, first one is a Michael Jordan Skybox Z-Force.
Yeah.
With bent corners.
Yeah. But a very easily recognizable card.
That-
I mean, it's probably like a $4 card.
That was not the apple of your eye, though, in this trade.
The Zach Wilson. As a University of Utah fan, Zach Wilson has been a big topic of some of our private message groups around here.
Yeah.
He is a cougar and a cougar slayer. So I got my. Oh, come on. This is a kid-friendly show, Ted. That is a kid-friendly show.
I can't believe you went there. Oh, that is so funny.
So we
That is
pull
so
off this
funny.
trade. Now, we get up, we're moving around. The kids got my Lamar Jackson. We're going to go. They had set up some tables. People are ruthless here. They went and took tables from the smaller conference room,
Yeah.
brought them out into the main lobby.
Oh,
Just
wow.
picked them up, moved them out there with chairs, and
Yeah.
set up shop.
Shameless.
And
Yeah.
people in Marriott, they're like, yeah, they're just going to do it. So we start walking around, and this kid, Aiden, he's like, can I walk around with you guys? And I'm like, I'm feeling bad for this kid, right? I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, buddy, come walking around. And so we're cruising around, and finally he's like, he said something that was hilarious. He's like, yeah, I'm leaving now. Or just like something that we bored him to death. So we're like, okay, that's over. The kid got a nice thing. Like, it was a nice deal, right?
Right.
Yep.
He comes back 10 minutes later.
Uh-huh.
This is the best.
Like, oh, how's your Lamar Jackson? I traded it.
Wow.
No more than 10 minutes after.
Oh, that's
I
a
thought we
quick
had a
flipper.
bond.
Dude, he was hustling.
But
Yeah, he was.
he got himself a Lamar Jackson Prism, a base Prism, but a PSA 9.
What?
That card's a $60 to $70 card.
Yeah.
And he got it for my $15
Right.
phenomenon. Kid's
Nicely
a
done.
hustler.
Yeah.
He did it.
Good on him. Good. I love seeing kids like that. That happened to me at the local show here, where a kid had come up that we saw at all the shows, and he made a trade, and he
Yeah.
sprinted across the show
Oh,
and
yeah.
traded it for like 5 more graded cards.
Just amazing.
They have like
Yeah.
no attachment to this. Like all the sentimental value. I'm like playing it slow motion in my mind as he's running off to live his great life, treasuring this moment. Nah, man, he flipped that right as fast as he could. He flipped it.
You
But-
got hustled.
So that's not even the best part of trade, though. So the actual trade night itself.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a story, but guys, I think this is an opportunity, Tim, for you to enjoy a trade night. For you to enjoy a trade night and for all of us to enjoy it.
Fair enough. And this was requested by Carter. Forgot to play his voicemail, but
Yes.
let's
yes,
get
yes,
to
yes,
it.
yes, yes.
well, yeah,
Or is
okay.
it too late?
Yeah, I think it's a little too late. So, but here you go, Carter.
Hey, fellas, how's it going? I hope you're having a good week. Listen, I know this is not a 90s radio show, but nonetheless, I would like to call and make a request for something that I would like to hear on the air. Chad, specifically, if you would, as you're recapping your time at the Dallas Card Show, I know that you made a couple of trades during the weekend with children on 2 separate occasions. And so if you would recap that first trade that you made on Thursday night where you got raked over the coals in a really serious way, and then the one that you made on Saturday night at the trade night where you really redeemed yourself in an even more serious way. And I've directly benefited from it, which I appreciate.
What?
I think that your listeners would appreciate hearing those stories and getting to enjoy them as much as I enjoyed them. That's it. Thanks, fellas. Bye.
That was perfectly timed.
That was perfectly timed.
Because I knew you made a trade with one child, but not multiple.
I didn't tell you guys about this one.
No, yeah, he's holding off. Yeah, he's holding back.
This is you guys are going to like this.
Okay. Let's hear
But
it.
it involves the formal trade night at the Dallas Card Show. Advertises that it starts at 6 p.m. in the second kind of major conference room.
Okay.
Now, here's the problem. Kyle had told Carter and I that we need to show up at least 15 minutes early to make sure we get a good seat. So Carter and I show up 15 minutes early.
Yeah.
Kyle's out having dinner with someone else.
Wait, what?
We get there. There are no tables.
Oh, no.
Nothing is set up.
Oh, no.
And if you remember the Dallas Card Show, the last time there was a trade night that was very heavily advertised and promoted on Instagram.
Yes.
Remember the show promoter gets up on stage and yells, "I'm shutting it down. No one moves." Do you guys remember that?
I
That was at
forgot
the Dallas
that was
Card
a
Show.
I
thing.
totally
Yep.
forgot that.
So that plays a role here.
Oh, no.
6 o'clock.
Oh, no.
6 o'clock rolls around and there's starting to be a mass of people huddling around this area where there's just nothing. There's no tables, but we're all assuming that they're going to set up tables here.
Okay.
This guy comes walking out who clearly runs the show, him and 2 or 3 other guys. And you can tell this guy's starting to get anxious and he's pacing back and forth.
I think his name's Mike or something.
He's telling everyone to like step back. And we're like, step back from what? There's nothing here. But you can tell he's starting to lose his marbles a little bit. Over the course of the next 15 minutes, these 3 or 4 guys bring out rows of tables and chairs. Now, this is about 6:15 by the time they start to get these things rolled out.
Okay.
One person's job was to set up the table. Another person's job was to set up the chairs. The
Okay.
next person's job was to go slightly change the chair arrangement that the first person had set up. And then the last guy's job was to go and panic, absolutely panic, if anybody set any of their stuff out on these tables.
How many times did you do it?
At least 3. And every time he gives me the eye, where it starts to just flicker a little bit, and you can tell like a little aneurysm just boiling in his brain. And the guy's getting pissed. He's telling us he's going to shut it down. But to be fair, it was like 6:20, and he advertised 6 o'clock for a start time for this trade show.
Right.
But the issue is that all of these people are now lined up. And everyone can tell that there are not enough tables for all these people here to set up our stuff. So like Carter and I kind of weasel our way back around to the back corner.
Right.
And all of a sudden they're like, okay, go. And people start to run. And immediately another guy's like, stop. Kids first.
Oh, my God.
We could have body slammed him right through this table.
I'll bet.
But we did end up getting a table. And getting a table at this thing is key.
Yes.
3 massive rows of 6-foot card tables. So think of it maybe as columns.
Yeah.
3 massive columns. Each column has 10 or 15 tables.
So cool.
So what you do is you set up at this table and you put your stuff out. And then other people walk up to your table.
Wow.
And offer you trades. So what we did is with our stuff, we just kind of set it out in front of us and we just hung out.
That's
and other
cool.
people came up to us offering us trades.
I love that.
That'd be great for somebody like me.
It's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect if you don't want to be the one to go engage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because all these people are carrying around their stuff too.
Perfect for all of us. What are we
No,
talking
I
about?
know.
It really is.
Social
And they have
anxiety
like
through the roof,
they
yeah.
have a little spot there where you can go get water, sodas, a little cocktail bar. So I got myself a whiskey or 2. Have
Nice.
a great time.
Oh, that would totally help. Yeah.
Right next to it, this was pretty funny. So there was still some table vendors sitting up next to us, like immediately to our left.
Okay.
So kind of on the very far outside wall, some of the people that actually set up for the show, they just kept it rolling.
Okay.
One guy, he's got a big gold chain, bigger than the Drew Lock one I wore last year.
Yes.
And connected to it is the Donald Trump Playboy card with like lights and a whole gold trim around it.
That's awesome.
Immediately adjacent to him
Uh-huh.
is a woman that Carter had to identify the shirt for me. I think it was BBB.
Okay.
It's like a Texas religious group that she was there supporting right next to the Playboy card. So we're just waiting for this to go. I'm telling you, the entertainment value was so impressive.
People watching is the best.
So people start coming around and offering us trades.
Okay.
And the one Carter's talking about, this is a good one. Carter, of course, is a Memphis Grizzly fan.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we get this kid who comes strolling up maybe half an hour or so into the show. And he's probably in that 13 to 15 range. A little bit awkward, but still not shy enough to not want to make a trade.
Okay.
He could see into Carter's soul.
Wow.
This kid walks right up to him and shows him a Jaren Jackson 2018 Prism Fast Break Copper. This card is numbered to 20.
Yeah, the coppers.
It's jersey numbered.
Oof.
13 out of 20.
Wow. Did he?
It's a bronze. It's a bronze, not a copper. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I'm going to double check this as we go. We've got an Instagram account. But the kid walks right up to him. The card, the kid said, he's like, I just bought this for $100 and just puts it right in Carter's face.
Did he know that Carter was like Grizzlies?
He
anything?
must have. Like, I don't know how
Somewhere,
that
right?
connection, like in my mind, he
Yeah.
just stared into his soul and knew it.
Yeah,
But
I
like,
mean,
I'm
might
sure
have.
there was some sort of conversation that came up. I just don't know how it happened. In my mind, it's like, oh my God.
Read him like a book.
It could have been the end of that first whiskey that was telling me that. But, like, time stood still as this kid's walking up there. Carter pulls out this 2019 Ja Morant Prism Silver PSA 9. This card's worth $250, $275. And he's like, I will trade you this. I think it was the highest value card that he had brought to trade. He's like, I will trade you this for that card you just bought for $100. Kid looks at him. No.
What?
Firm no.
What?
Just gave it to him. Gave him the business on the
Oh,
no.
no. Okay. Not the card. Not the card. Yeah. Yeah.
God, that would have been a weird end of the story.
This is an emotional roller
I
coaster,
know,
Tim.
right? Yeah, I know. I
Carter's
wasn't
like,
sure what to
dude,
expect
he's
there.
like, I need this card. And then I think he reveals that it's jersey numbered, and Carter's like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to see this card again.
Right.
And of course, me, I'm like, bro, you're never going to see this card again. It's jersey numbered. You have to have this card. The kid just walks away. He walks away. Card is gone.
No.
Carter and I are stunned, thinking, what in the world just happened?
yeah.
And the kid starts to walk, and I catch a glimpse of him as he walks away. And Carter's like, the guy told me he just bought it for $100. So I'm like, all right, I know what to do here. And I flash back to the West Valley card show when there was a guy negotiating with me over a Russell Westbrook rookie card.
Yeah.
And I offered the guy a number, and the guy just looked me straight in the eyes and said, no. And he threw me off. And I remember you saying, like, that's part of negotiation tactic. You gotta rattle them, get them outside their comfort zone.
100%.
So the kid's back down like the third column. We're in the first column. And I see him. I'm like, nah. I have $200 left cash. This is the last night of the card show. I grab it. I walk over to the kid, grab him by the shoulder nicely. I'm like, hey, you
Grab
have
it
that.
by the lapels.
Yeah. Scruff
I'm
up
like,
his neck.
I'm like, you have that Jaren. The kid's like 6 feet tall, so I had to get a stool to meet him eye to eye, to meet his eye line. I'm like, you just bought that Jaren Jackson, and my friend needs that. He's like, yeah, he didn't have what I wanted. I said, but you told him you paid $100 for it, right?
Yeah.
This is doubling your money for doing nothing. And I put it right in his face. Yeah. It broke him. He broke. He immediately broke. He pulled his hat. I think he had a hat. He like pulled his hat back. He's like rubbing his brow. You could. He's rattled to his core.
Yeah, you're like, what the F?
And the kid's like, oh man, I wasn't planning on trading this. And I just looked at him. I'm like, I'm sitting over there. So I walk back. Sure enough, 30 seconds later, and I'm telling Carter about this. Kid comes marching up. He's like, fine. Puts the card down, hand him the $200, and we got the card.
Yeah,
So then I
Nicely
take
done.
the card, and Carter,
But now you own it.
But now I own the card. But clearly,
Oh, wait a second.
That's the problem.
there was Had it been one of you two,
I know.
the way that Carter would have acquired this card would have been a little bit different.
Fair.
But I'm
fair.
still like in the friends term with Carter, not like extreme friend where I'm just going to torture your soul.
Right.
So he offered me the Ja Morant,
Hey.
the Prism Silver.
Interesting.
We made a 3-way trade where everybody wins. The kid made $100. Carter got a card that he will never see again, a jersey numbered Jaren Jackson Jr. Prism card.
Right.
And I even got a little room for profit here with this Ja Morant.
Wow.
Well, and I was wondering when you sent us that photo of the jaw of how that came to be. That's an excellent story. And I'll tell you, I'm starting to like, we talked about the pyramid, the collecting pyramid. I think Josh should be on that pyramid. He's a good player.
He is. That was a lot of fun at trade night.
That's amazing, right?
is.
Like a 3-way win too.
Yeah.
Trade night is also where I bought your Tatis.
Okay. Yep.
Trade night. I also picked up a couple other things that I just bought from people.
Okay.
This Donovan Mitchell number to 10. Someone had it. They didn't know what it was. It's a Crown Royal for this year, so I think I got it for like $10.
Like a cracked ice gold. Number to 10 as I drop it.
Yeah, as you throw it across the room. But that trade night, guys, it is so much fun. If we could like find a way. Oh, that's also. Oh, here, everyone needs to hear this.
Yeah.
It is not sufficient, and I know it. There were hundreds of people at this place. Hundreds. I sent you guys a photo. This place is jam-packed. We were there from 6 o'clock. I went to bed at 10, of course, like a gentleman.
Yeah.
Carter and Kyle stayed until 12 or 1.
Wow. Of course.
The
they did.
iPad was set up with that photo.
Yes.
Have you met my friend Kyle? He is the biggest fantasy football loser of 2021. And it was set right in front of him. He tried to slide it over. He's like, for my cards. No, bud. This goes right here, right in front of the cards you were trying to trade. And when the screen went black, I immediately fired right back up.
My man.
But it was great. We had some listeners come by and like chat with me. I really wish you guys would have been there for that.
That would have been cool.
So that was a blast. The trade night was a complete blast. And knock on wood, I was masked. I think I avoided the corona.
Yeah.
How about that?
Win,
we're
win.
still staying free.
That's key. That is absolutely.
So it was a great
key.
time, guys. That was a really long story, but hopefully
No.
That was entertaining as balls.
Yeah, oh, yeah. You could have gone much longer. All right, guys. Well, when we come back, we're going to chat briefly about collecting a PC player who gets traded from your favorite team. But before we dive into that, guys, I have talked at length about how much we love our Zion cases and backpacks. But today, I want to remind you all about the additional awesome products you can find at zioncases.com in order to grade your cards and protect your slabs. Zion Cases subloaders for submitting cards to be graded can be purchased at a 50 unit pack for just $12.99, or you could even pick up a 4-pack, which is 200 of these subloaders for just $19.99. Zion Cases also offers Slab Strong. These rubber bumpers keep your slab safe while allowing you to add a splash of color. They offer black, blue, red, and clear. And you can pick up a 10-pack of these bad boys for just $59.99. So whether you need card-specific supplies or a case to hold your PC, Zion Cases has got you covered. Now, at checkout, be sure to enter the promo code PACK. That's for an additional 10% off your entire order. That's zioncases.com, promo code PACK. All right, guys, welcome back to the show. You can follow us on Instagram at Pack to the Future Podcast. Give us a follow. Reach out to us. Say hello. We love interacting with you all on there. Guys, for this last segment, we were talking about, and this kind of was inspired by your Dallas trip, because while you were there, and still to this day, we're hearing this pending Donovan trade coming up eventually.
Yeah.
And so we had a discussion. You reached out to Tim and I about, what do I do with Donovan? Because you found a card that you really liked, and we were debating it. Okay, well, what are you going to do if he leaves the Jazz or not? And I know that you talked to Kyle and Carter about this as well. What was kind of your mindset about it, or what was your experience in kind of working through that?
Yeah.
It was an emotional roller coaster. And
sure
unfortunately, you guys were on the receiving end of that.
That's
I
okay.
think I went on a few benders of sending you guys texts in my existential crisis trying to figure out what to do with Donovan Mitchell.
That's all right. It's a tough one, man. And I'll be honest, you came to a conclusion I'm really proud of you for. And we'll talk about it. I don't know that I share it.
Wow.
I see. Do you want me to get there now?
Well, that's why this
I'll get
topic's
there
so
now.
interesting.
Take
There's-
it
This
as
is
much
such a
time
good
as you
one,
need.
Tim.
Yeah.
Now, I've had some trouble with players leaving in the past. I haven't had a lot,
Yeah.
but Drew Lock was a big one. Seriously.
Massive.
He says
Ricky,
that with
we talked off show like, hey, like you never highlight your losses, right? Like, you need to know I probably spent $3,000 to $5,000 on Drew Lock,
Oh, yeah. From that perspective.
and I sold for pennies on the dollar.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I started laughing thinking the emotional loss of Drew Lock.
Yeah.
I didn't
There's
even
that part of
think
it.
about the financial because
part.
that was
No.
way worse for you.
Right? Because the emotional thing with Drew Lock was only me hoping
Yeah.
that he would get there. Like, I didn't have any
Yeah.
ties to him at Missouri. Like, the dude made some pretty douchey moves with the Broncos.
And you got Wilson for him, so how could you be too happy?
Right. So that was really tough from a card standpoint.
Right.
But the Donovan Mitchell thing was really tough. So there came a point in the show when I saw a couple of cards. I'm like, look, these are going to be cards I may not see again of Donovan Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm going to be a Donovan Mitchell collector, even if he gets traded, I need to go buy these now. Or I need to cut my ties and figure out my pyramid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a big fork in the road.
He's number one for me.
And you were not home to be making this big decision, which probably made you extra anxious.
Oh, it did, because, I mean, you've got your phone, you're hearing people talk about Donovan Mitchell finally at these tables. They're like, oh, is he a Nick yet? And I'm like, oh, I hate you so much. So here's the thing. Right after I see one of these cards that I'm going to tell you about in just a second,
Please.
I see Carter in the show. And I'm like, Carter, you've dealt with this with a player leaving. Talk me through it with Mike Conley. Big
Yeah.
Mike Conley guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do I do? Like, how did you decide that we're going to continue to collect Mike Conley?
It's a great question. Yeah.
And what I remember hearing is that he loved watching Mike Conley as a player. He had more years with Mike Conley than Donovan Mitchell did with the Jazz.
Okay.
But he said, I really loved what he did for the community, what he represented as a human, and I just knew that I was going to continue collecting him. We were standing right in the middle of the main conference hall. All the lights went off. A big spotlight came down. Glorious music went off, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to
Donovan.
continue to collect Donovan Mitchell.
How cool is that?
That-
a little epiphany.
It
if you
was.
will.
And
It was.
you have stayed firm in that decision since.
Oh, since that time, some things have happened here.
Uh-oh.
You guys have seen these cards, but I will show you.
Please.
And we will discuss them on there. The first pickup, 2021 Origins, Donovan Mitchell, Nike swoosh, 1 of 1.
That's
so
just
cool.
such a cool card.
And it's funny
Hey.
because the guy who sold it to me knows Ross.
Yeah, you hear that, Ross? You're never getting this one. Never!
And we talked about him for like 15 minutes.
Wow.
I'm like, because, we're kind of dipping our toes in the water. I'm like, oh, yeah, I know this guy who's totally going to love it. And I'm like, Ross? And like, waiting to see if the guy would flinch. And he's like, oh, yeah, I know Ross. He's like, I haven't. And this was before I bought the card. He's like, yeah, I haven't even showed Ross this
Awesome.
one. I threw my money in his face. I'm like, I have to have this now.
Oh, that's such a cool looking
That's
card.
number one. Number two, I think, is the higher price card, but we're gonna do this one.
Okay.
The one that I had the talk with Carter about
Yeah.
was the 2017 Prism Donovan Mitchell autograph PSA 10.
Yeah.
There's only
Again,
about 30 of these in
Looks
population.
nice. And what I love about this is you almost get one of his earlier autographs, but it's starting to progress.
It's
Yeah.
not as cool as your hoops one.
It's not the full
but it's
cursive
not
one.
far. It's not far from it.
Yeah.
And so you do get some of that early autograph, which I think makes it extra special.
And I actually got a screaming deal on that one. There is a slight scratch on the case. So I went back.
yes!
So here's the thing with this card. I had this talk with Carter. It was about this card.
Right.
Like, this card was on my mind.
This is what got you.
I had already seen the card, and I was stewing over whether or not to buy it.
yes.
He gives me this talk, and like Rudy, I'm pumping my fist. I sprint over to this booth. I'm like, I need to look at this card. I am so excited, like I've just had a change in my PC world. I pull it out of the sleeve, and there's this massive scratch on it.
I actually can't see it.
I
That's
can't
what I was
either.
fussing
It's
with
because
it.
this lovely Zion sleeve covers it up.
Well, perfect.
Is it down here?
No, it's on the left side.
Oh, see? Yeah, it does a really nice job.
So I'm pulling out, looking at it, and I'm staring at it for like 30 seconds. And then I pull up my backpack out of my Zion backpack, trying to find my cloth to wipe it off and see if it was like a hair or just something I could wipe off. And I couldn't
Sure.
find it. And the guy's kind of eyeing me up at this point. He's like, can I help you with something? I'm like, well, yeah, there's a scratch on here. Do you have something to see if we could wipe it off? Grabs a card, tries to wipe it. He's like, it's not coming off. I'm like, oh. He's like, so are you interested in the card? I'm like, yeah, I'm interested in the card. I'm not interested in the scratch that's on the thing. So then I leave and I walk away.
oh, I didn't know that. I thought you had purchased it.
But then I had
Yeah.
texted you guys, and Tim's
Yep.
like, oh, this is a reholder situation.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, if I reholder it, then they could grade it again. And you guys were like, no.
Yep.
You can just reholder it
Yeah.
and not need to risk losing the 10. So I walked back to the guy.
Yeah. And when I never got around to it, I was going to offer to actually reholder my Cabrera if you wanted a sample to see if they would grade
that'd be
it.
perfect.
Yeah.
But
Sacrificial.
I used that. I told the guy, I'm like, hey, I'm still really interested in this card, but it's got the scratch on there. I'm like, would you take off $200? So he had a list at $1,100. I'm like, would you take $900 for it? He's like, yep, sold. So bam, got it.
Wow.
See, you're so much better at that than I am. I would have asked for like 50.
That's really generous.
25
Yeah.
for a reholder and maybe another 20 for shipping. Well done.
I was shocked he took it.
You got to try.
Yeah, you
never
gotta
know.
try.
And truly, I do believe this. A fair deal is what the two individuals agree is fair. So
I agree.
you didn't do anything wrong here.
And then very last one, I'll make this one really quick. This one is from Court Kings. This was the last pickup after my epiphany. 2019 Court Kings. This is blank slate.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell, PSA 10. The pop count on these is really low, and that card just looks awesome. He's in his white jersey, and it's got that.
It almost looks like the color splash minus the color.
Yeah, it
I mean,
really
it looks
does.
cool.
I mean, it's canvas that's almost beige color.
Right.
So it makes him pop.
Yeah, I agree.
Those look really good. I think they're case hits. Tim, you had one of these. Not of Donovan,
It's
but
for baseball, Luis Robert. I might be wrong about this, but I feel like this insert was only available in like some Australian release.
Wow.
I mean, I know that was probably true about the baseball. I never fully confirmed that, but I don't know if that's true for that one.
interesting.
Something
The
to
guy
check
who I bought
out.
it from had actually pulled the card, and then he graded it.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun.
Very cool. Very,
Yeah, those
very
are
cool.
so clean. I love it.
All right, so I tangent so far off of that, but
So you're sticking with Donovan.
I'm sticking with Donovan, and the reason is not just that he's a player on my team. It's that he's a player that I've enjoyed watching,
Yeah.
and I enjoy what he stands for from what I know. For what I know he stands, or what I think I know he stands for.
And that's like
Does that
a
make sense?
rock solid reason to continue doing
Agreed.
it. I mean, you can't poke too many holes in that. So.
Will you collect him in a different jersey?
Oh, yeah, I'll buy the new jersey, too.
You'll
I'll buy the Knick
cards
jersey.
in the Knicks? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, I'm
Wait,
in.
you're going to buy a Knick jersey?
Yep. I'm so mad at the Jazz, you guys.
I'm with you.
I'm
You
so
and I-
mad.
You and I have talked off
Yeah,
air.
we have. I thought you were messing with me,
no.
like so much to the point that you were so passionate about it.
No, I've had it. As a Lions and Tigers fan, University of Utah, the Pac-12 is breaking apart, and the Jazz are entering yet another rebuild after 15 years and finally getting 2 All-Stars.
Yeah.
I'm done.
It's so frustrating for you guys.
Those two should have had statues. No, it
is. He's right.
It's funny the way he said it,
It
but
is.
but I think he's being sincere. Like
I
there
know,
should have
you
been
are.
2 additional statues outside of that arena.
Completely agree.
They may never have won a title, but there should have been. And
Keep
instead
him here
blow
as
it up.
long. Yep, I agree.
It would have been so lovable. Like, it's so hard for the Jazz to get players like that, like homegrown, no less,
Yeah, and that's just it. Is that you have to get so lucky as a fan of the Jazz to do anything at this point.
So is that love, that attachment, why I will continue to collect Donovan, even though he is going
So
to be
that'll
traded,
carry.
seemingly going to be traded.
you know what? That'll be kind of fun though. You never would have owned a Knicks jersey otherwise, and hey, just enjoy it.
Well, Tim's got that Wizards jersey hanging up in his bedroom with Jordan. He knows exactly what we're going
No,
through.
exactly. No.
Timmy, how about you? What about when your players have moved teams?
Yeah, that's a good segue. I didn't want to focus on Jordan too much, but that's exactly, a great example is, Jordan when he unretired and came back, played for the Wizards. I had zero interest in like following what he was doing with the Wizards because I knew he shouldn't have unretired.
Yeah.
And the Wizards were hot garbage. And I was like, why did you pick the Wizards, right?
Right.
It made no sense. And so there's just no emotional attachment to him playing on the Wizards. So therefore, I'm not going to collect any of those cards. And I know some people really love his Wizard stuff because, hey, it's still, game used, game worn patches. And there's plenty of reason to, but it's just the people who collect him in a college uni, it just doesn't do anything for me because I wasn't following him at that point.
Funny enough, I won't buy a card with him in a Wizards jersey. And I'm not an uber MJ fan, but I'll tell you, it just feels like buying Leaf.
Yeah, it just feels wrong, right?
Leaf was there at the card show.
Ooh.
At trade night, they had a table with a display case. All I had was cash in it. He was just flexing.
It just
flexing
flexed it
some
and
cash.
hoping to buy cards.
Jordan's career ended in '98. when he beat the Jazz.
Yeah,
Yep.
effectively, right? Like, I mean, that was the end of his book, right?
No, really, when he came back out, it did feel like a guy playing church ball more. He was too old, over the hill. And
Yeah.
like,
No,
don't get me wrong, I was grateful to ever see him continue, but it was never the same.
no. Like a good analogy, keeping with the books, would be like, the son of J.R.R. Tolkien, trying to finish one of his books or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it just, nah.
So
But-
it was timing for you.
Timing there.
Of the career.
And then just like the lack of like attachment, like Donovan obviously, has a very emotional pull for you now as a player and a fan. So, that's going to carry you through to collecting him. I thought that was going to be true with Frank Thomas growing up. So he, in my mind, his career was basically over in 2005 when the Sox won the World Series. I was kind of sad for him at the time because he actually was injured and didn't make the postseason roster,
bummer.
which is so crazy because like he was such an integral part of like the White Sox even getting to that point to get good enough to win a World Series that year.
With Mark Burley.
Mark Burley, yeah, also one of my favorite White Sox players. Good job.
That's a name drop.
Yeah, that's because he really.
My brother was a White Sox fan, so I kind of cheered for him when they were there in 05 because he
gotcha.
wasn't doing a good job.
I think his record against the Tigers was like 11-2 with
Yeah.
like a .5 ERA or something. So
He was, as Tim loves to say, nasty.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
abusive.
it really was.
It was.
But afterwards, he went like he just got done so dirty by Reinsdorf, like which is he's by far and away one of my least favorite sports teams owners of all time. Like he's up there with plenty of others, but anyway. So he just got done dirty by Reinsdorf and was like, he didn't even call Thomas like when he was like, we're not going to re-sign you.
So what happened with Frank Thomas? I don't remember.
Anyway, yeah. So he went on and got signed by the Oakland A's, who were looking for a power bat.
I forgot about that.
Oh.
That's
yeah,
right.
and so he actually played 2 more years with them, and because of all his injuries at that point, he actually finished like second in comeback player of the year.
No kidding.
Ironically enough, Jim Thome, who had signed with the White Sox as his
Wow.
replacement. So it was kind of messed up. But yeah, it was just really weird, like trying to like follow him as an A's fan at that time, because
That'd be kind of fun, though. I don't know why I don't have the same.
Well, it's weird
version.
end of the career. It's just like the Malone
Super
Lakers
weird.
thing. I don't even count that
just-
as happening.
it doesn't.
Agreed.
It didn't look right. It didn't sound right. I think that was still back when you had to like flip through the back of a newspaper to look at some of the sports. So
Yeah,
maybe not that far, but
Yeah,
that's
no,
what it felt like. And then he kept playing too because he wanted to hit his 500th home run, which he did with the Blue Jays,
What?
right?
That's right.
Wow.
He did.
No, I'm not
Blue
saying
Jays.
I'm not
No,
saying
I
you're
know.
wrong. It's just
I know,
blowing
but
my mind.
yeah, exactly. Like it's like Frank Thomas Blue Jays. What?
Wow.
Yeah.
So even if there were cards of him in an A's uni or a Blue Jays uni, like I just completely ignore them.
I've never seen you own one.
No.
No.
I would as just I like Frank Thomas a little bit just because of my brother.
Yeah.
He was his favorite, and so sometimes I'll collect some of his cards.
Yeah.
Nothing compared to what you have.
Yeah.
You've got the happy medium though.
Yeah.
You not at the beginning of the career, not at the end, but you have Stafford.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to talk about. Is I've got 2 examples of this.
Okay.
The first example for me is Jeff Malone, and that was unique because I was young enough to not. I would have collected his cards and did when he went on to the Sixers. And he started out with the Bullets, then Jazz, then Sixers. Okay.
Okay.
And when he went off to the Sixers, I did collect some of his cards, but there weren't a ton. And then it wasn't until much later in life that I started going back and buying patch cards and
Yeah.
autographs. I don't care what jersey he's in, just because I can't find him in any jersey. There's 2 I've ever found autograph cards in a Jazz jersey. I've got both.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
But mostly they like to hit him on the Sixers or the Bullets. He was an all-star once or twice with the Bullets before coming over to Utah.
Interesting.
So that I don't have any issue. Stafford is hard for me
Yeah.
for the same reasons that Chad just listed. He was good to Lions fans.
Seemed like it.
He gave us his best years. He did the stupid AT&T commercial, which is a
Yeah,
wink
he
at
did.
us.
That commercial's so good.
It
Yeah.
makes me cry and smile. I have gotten close to losing it on being a Lions fan. I won't right now, but it was tempting to say let's go to the Rams and with Stafford and start cheering for a new team. I knew I couldn't do that though, and I do feel like it is even going after him in a Rams uniform. I feel like I'm like cheating on the Lions. Like, it feels wrong. But I will still actively go after him in any Lions uniform.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten pretty close to pulling the trigger on a Mosaic Genesis LA Rams PSA.
Oh.
Yeah, you had mentioned that. Yeah.
So, never say never. I do like the Rams unis. I think they can look sleek depending on the right form, that which combo they have going.
Yeah.
And so if the right card hit me, I would even consider it in a Rams, but I haven't been able to pull the trigger to date.
Okay. Yeah, I can see why.
Interesting.
Can I flip that
Please.
situation around? So what if you were a Rams fan now? Would you go back and collect him in a Lions uni?
That is a great question. I wouldn't actively go back and collect him, and I have a great example of this. Javier Baez. I brought it in the card the other day.
Yep.
Out of 3.
Yep. Tigers fan now. Yep.
In a Cubs
Tigers
uniform.
player, sorry.
Yep. And I'm keeping it, even though he's in a Cubs uniform.
Probably fan too.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't actively search out in an old uniform. I don't. Whenever I see a Miguel Cabrera card, for example, with the Marlins, I won't pull the trigger.
Right. Yeah.
Part of
makes
that,
sense.
their unis are so terrible anyway. But
I mean, you think about like Griffey in a Reds uni, right? Like I always think of him in a Mariners uni.
well, and I
yeah.
do. I have that
Yeah.
that Griffey auto that I hit the Gaudy, and he's in a Reds uni.
That's right. Yeah.
And
yeah.
I really want to sell it and get a Mariners autograph,
Right.
just because it seems wrong.
Just seems wrong.
I don't
yeah.
own Peyton Colts stuff.
Yeah, I mean, but he was very much associated with the Colts. I mean, for you, like it just doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
Because you saw him as a
Yeah,
Bronco.
This is interesting.
It is, and
Yeah.
It's a
please,
lot of emotion and thought.
I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
And reach out to us at Back to the Future Podcast on Instagram. Let us know what you think. Are there any PC players you have followed? Any PC players you will never follow?
Or players that you will now follow to different teams.
If you do that, make sure that your team actually signs the player. Kyle bought a DeAndre Ayton,
Oh no! Oh no!
anticipating that he would be signed, which he did,
Yeah. Just not.
only to get pulled right back.
Oh man! Oh, that's painful.
Oof.
All right, guys, it's been another really fun show for Chad and Tim. This is Ricky, the Dallas Card Show, wishing all of you a one of one night.
Backpack prize pack.
Yes, thank you. So we had a backpack prize pack contest going last week, and for the PC Pyramid, your winner, our boy Merle at MI3 Cards.
Yeah.
Get in touch with us. We'll be getting you your backpack prize pack right out.